Hi everyone, I'm Courtney. In this video, I'm telling you a story to help you learn new English vocabulary, to help you learn new words in English. Listen to the story to learn new vocabulary. Today, I'm talking about my favorite spring break trip I have ever taken. I went on a spring break trip with my boyfriend that is now my husband. When we went on the trip, we were boyfriend and girlfriend. This is one of my favorite trips I've ever taken with my husband. He was my boyfriend then, but now he's my husband. We decided to go on a big adventure. We lived in Montana. We went to school in Montana. When I say school, I mean college, university. We went to school together in Montana. And one day we decided to take a big trip. Spring break is a break in the spring. Maybe that's obvious, but it's a pause during the school year where you get to take a break, and usually there's a tradition that a lot of college students will go on a vacation. They'll go somewhere fun. A lot of college students will party during spring break, or they'll go to the beach, or just in general, a destination that their main goal is to party, to drink, and to dance, and to party, to have fun. Jed and I don't really like to party, and we didn't really like to party a lot in college either. So, we decided to go on a different type of spring break trip. We went to 3 different places on this spring break trip. First, we drove about 5 hours up to Banff, Canada. In Banff, we stayed at a hostel. A hostel is like a hotel, but they're shared spaces. We had a room with a bed, and we had to share a bathroom with the rest of the people staying in the hostel. I didn't mind it. Jed didn't really like it. He liked having his own private bathroom. Anyways, in Banff, we went to a hot spring. A hot spring is a body of water that's hot. It's a warm temperature, and you can sit in it like a hot tub. But a hot spring is usually natural. It's usually something that's natural, and it's warm because the earth makes it warm. It's not a man-made thing, usually. And so we went to a hot spring, and it was really fun. The air was cold outside. It was cold, and I think it was snowing a little bit. So it was fun to sit in the hot springs. We also went on a hike. We hiked, and we had to wear crampons. We had to wear micro spikes on our shoes. Micro spikes or crampons are tiny little spikes, tiny little metal things on the bottom of your feet that give you traction when you walk. So micro spikes are something people wear when they don't want to slip in icy conditions, when it's icy outside. And while we were walking, we saw a lot of people slipping. A lot of people slipped and fell because they didn't have micro spikes. They didn't have crampons. So we were happy that we bought them. We also saw people ice climbing while we hiked, and that was the first time I had ever seen anyone ice climbing. So that was really interesting. And we had a lot of fun on our hike. I can't remember how far we hiked, but we hiked most of the day. Then we drove over to Vancouver, Canada. The drive from Banff to Vancouver was about 9 hours. It was a long drive. It was one of the most beautiful highways I've ever been on. The road was incredible. It had a lot of views of the mountains, and it just felt very free and open and peaceful. I loved the drive from Banff to Vancouver. In Vancouver, we stayed in a hotel. We stayed in a hotel downtown. It's interesting because now we would never stay in a hotel downtown. But we wanted to be downtown during this trip. We were young. We liked to explore different cities. We brought our longboards. Longboards are like skateboards, but just a little bit different. We brought our longboards and we longboarded around the city. Vancouver, Canada is a really cool city. We longboarded to an island. There was a bridge to get to the island. And we longboarded across the bridge. And the island had different types of foods. There was a little market. There were boats to see. And we walked around the island and looked at the different shops. Then we longboarded across the bridge and back into the city. One nice thing about Vancouver, Canada, is that they have a lot of bike lanes. So we felt safe longboarding because we longboarded in the bike lanes. Anyways, we longboarded to the beach. They have a little beach, and we sat at the beach for a while. And we actually saw a really cute family from the UK, from the United Kingdom, while we were at the beach. And so I'll always remember it because I remember their accent, their British accent. And then we carried our longboards and we did a little hike. We hiked through the forest. We longboarded 18 miles. 18 miles, that's very far. We got back to the hotel and we were exhausted, but we had an absolutely incredible day. It was one of my favorite days. The next day we went on a hike. I love the greenery in Vancouver. There's lots of ferns and it's a very wet, moist climate. I think it rains there quite a bit. Then, after we finished our trip in Vancouver, Canada, we drove to Seattle, Washington. We crossed the border back into the US, and we drove to Seattle, Washington. My aunt lives in Seattle, Washington, so we stayed with my aunt. It was fun because I don't get to see my aunt very often. We hung out with my aunt, and we did a lot of the classic Seattle tourist attractions. We went on a tour of a chocolate factory, which was really interesting. The tour guide was very funny, and we ate way too much chocolate. Then we went to a museum called Chihuly Gardens and Glass. Chihuly is one of my favorite places that I've been. It has really interesting glass art, different glass sculptures, and it's all colorful, and the glass is in forms that your brain can barely comprehend. It's a gorgeous museum, and I 100% want to go back to Chihuly. We also went to the Science Center because there was a laser light show in a planetarium. They played music, and then they used lasers to project onto the ceiling of the planetarium, and the projections from the lasers, they were in synchronization with the music. It's hard to describe, but The laser light show is very much worth it. I would go back to that again as well. What else did we do in Seattle? I think we also went to Pike's Place Market and the Gum Wall, which, if you want to see that, I made a video about it, so you can go watch that video next. I'll leave a link in the description. But yeah, then we drove home to Montana. I think it was like a 13-hour drive. It was pretty far. We did this entire trip in my car that my parents gave me, and it was an Oldsmobile 88. It was an old car. I can't believe that car didn't break down during the trip. I can't believe the car worked the entire trip. It was crazy. We were very fortunate. This was one of the first big trips that Jed and I went on as a couple, and it always will hold a special place in my heart. I think back to going on this trip, and I just have really fond memories associated with it. It was a really, really good time on this trip. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed hearing about my favorite spring break trip ever. And tell me, have you been on a spring break trip? Does your school do spring break? Or did you do a trip that you really, really enjoyed while you were in college? Let me know. I'm Courtney. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you later. Bye.